بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says in explanation of Sahih Muslim al-Minhaj, says here on page 58 in Kitab al-Masajid wa Mawda' al-Salah, obviously following what we've been reading in wal-Marjan, volume 5, says قال الإمام أبو عبد الله المازري في أحاديث الباب 5. حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه في من شك فلم يدر كم صلى وفيه أنه يسجد سجدتين ولم يذكر موضعهما. وحديث أبي سعيد رضي الله عنه في من شك فيه أن يسجد سجدتين قبل أن يسلم. وحديث ابن مسعود رضي الله عنه وفيه القيام إلى 5 وأنه سجد بعد السلام. وحديث ذي اليدين وفيه السلام من 2 والمشي والكلام وأنه سجد بعد السلام. وحديث ابن بحينة وفيه القيام من 2 والسجود قبل السلام. He says that Abu Abdullah al-Maziri, the Imam, and like we explained before, a big part of the Sharh of Nawawi for Sahih Muslim is compilation. It's taking the speech of the previous commentators. The Shurah, those who explained the book before him. Nawawi gives his own speech, his own reservations, this and that, but a big part of his work is compilation. Taking what is already there and putting it, quoting it, summarizing it, debating it, supporting it, refuting it. No? And no different than Hafid bin Hajar rahimahullah in his Fath al-Bari. A big, not only, but a big portion of it is compilation. And compilation in itself is a major skill. A major skill. And many people, they look down upon compilation and say, you didn't write a book, you just compiled it. No. Compiling something takes a great deal of effort. First and foremost, it means that you have to be very, very aware of what's out there. You have to be learned of the field. Who wrote a book on it? Where can you find this dalil? Where can you find this statement? Then you have to know how to select, because you can't put everything in the book, but you have to know how to make intiqa, finally chosen, or you have to choose things. Then you have to know how to summarize. You have to know to organize. You have to know what to agree with, what not to agree with. Compiling is something that only people who've actually done it know how difficult it is. And there are many, many arts like this in life, in which people look down upon those arts, and they scorn them. And they don't know how much skill and talent and skill is needed, and how much hard work and devotion is needed until they actually have to do it themselves. And don't ever forget that a master of any craft, he always makes his craft look easy to the naked eye, to the onlooker. Someone is so good and so experienced that it makes it look so simple and easy to you. But for the next average person to come and do it, it's a different story. Now, so a big part of Nawawi's book is compiling. And from the scholars who came before Imam Nawawi and made the Sharh of Sahih Muslim is this author whose name is al-Maziri. He says regarding these 5 hadiths in the chapter in Sahih Muslim, the first is the hadith of Abi Hurairah regarding those who are doubtful and they're unsure how many rak'at they prayed. And that the Prophet ﷺ made sajda and he didn't mention the specific place. And then we have the hadith of Abi Sa'id al-Khudri about those who have doubt about their prayer, and then he makes the sujood before the salam. And then we have the hadith of Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, in which the Prophet ﷺ stood up to a 5th rak'ah, and then he made sujood after the salam. And then we have the hadith of Dhul Yadain, the man with the long arms with the big hands, in which he made the salam from 2 rak'ah, and walked and spoke. And then he made the taslim after, or he made the sajdatain after the salam. And then we have the hadith of Abdullah ibn Buhayna radiallahu anhu, in which the Prophet ﷺ stood up after making 2 rak'ah, and he made sujood before the salam. Like we explained where? Last night. Individually. One of the common questions, or the questions that came last night, Abdul Qawi, was when do I make the sajda? The sajdatain. Before the salam, after the salam, do I have an option or not? Now, he says here, واختلف العلماء في كيفية الأخذ بهذه الأحاديث. Nawawi says the scholars of Islam, they differ on how to take these hadiths, how to interpret them, how to understand them, how to practice them, and how to harmonize between them. Everybody clear on this? فقال داود لا يقاس عليها بل تستعمل في مواضعها على ما جاءت. From the ways of understanding these different hadiths is the way of Dawood, meaning Dawood ibn Ali al-Zahiri, the alim of the 3rd century, and he's considered to be the founding father or the main proponent for the Zahiri school of thought. Obviously, the Zahiri school of thought having its principles and its foundations in the Kitab and Sunnah, the literal outward text, the clear Arabic language. But saying the one who's supposed to be the one who started it and quote unquote synthesized it and crystallized it and formulated it, the Zahiri madhab. And from the things that were well known from the Zahiri madhab, not all of them, but if not most of them, or if maybe one could say all of them, is that they rejected qiyas, or most types of qiyas. It's unscientific to say they reject all types of qiyas. That's not true. Most types of qiyas is that if you say, what's the ruling on eating almond joy? And you said it's haram to eat almond joy, because almond joy has an intoxicant in it. And the intoxicants are mentioned in the Kitab and Sunnah, khamr. So we make qiyas. For example, mathalan, and I would say you can't make qiyas. If it was haram, Allah and His Messenger would have said it. And there is no making an analogy over something that we have for something that has come later on after the Prophet ﷺ. Mathalan, as an example. The issue of qiyas, when it is good, when it isn't good, when it can be used, when it cannot be used, the types of qiyas cannot be explained right now. Those who don't get it or can understand, you have to read about qiyas on your own. And those who do have a bit of knowledge or a lot of knowledge on qiyas in Arabic or English, then you can get the benefit now, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. The class is for different people now. Everything is not for every single what? Person. You have to dip and dab and get in where you fit in. All you can eat, buffet. You pick what you want. So therefore, Dawood said that these hadiths, no qiyas is to be made upon these hadiths. No qiyas. In other words, you make the sujood before the salam in this instance. You make the sajda after the salam in that instance, based off of the situation. If you did exactly what the Prophet ﷺ did, that's when you make it before. If you did what the Prophet ﷺ did, that's when you make it after. وَهَكَذَا. And there is no systematic way of making an analogy. Anything that's extra is after the salam. Extra speech, extra taslim, extra rak'ah, extra tashahud, extra fatiha. He say no. Only based off of whatever the Prophet ﷺ did, what? Specifically. Everybody clear on this? That's what he's saying. So that would lead you, in order to understand the sujood of sahw, the fiqh of sujood of sahw, and to properly practice it, that means you'll have to know about those hadiths and have them clearly, vividly planted in your head. He then says, قال أحمد رحمه الله تعالى بقول داود في هذه الصلوات خاصة وخالفه في غيرها وقال يسجد فيما سواها قبل السلام لكل سهو. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, he agreed with Imam Dawood. He agreed with him regarding these prayers. And he disagreed with him regarding other prayers. Meaning, let's say for example, if there's no hadith about the Prophet ﷺ forgetting in Salat al-Fajr, then Imam Ahmad said something else. But we have hadiths about Dhuhr, for example. We have hadiths about Asr, mathalan. And we have hadiths for Maghrib. That's it. As far as the other prayers, Imam Ahmad said then a person should make the sajda before the salam. Qabla as-salam. In other words, Imam Ahmad and Imam Dawood, they agree on what? Certain things that are mentioned where? In hadiths without no qiyas. So in Salat al-Dhuhr, you do exactly what the Prophet ﷺ did. And then you make it before, after, etc. But if no prayer is mentioned in those hadiths, then Imam Ahmad said what? Before the taslim. Kulli sahw. Anytime you make a mistake and you fix it, you do it when? Before. Everybody clear on this? He then says, rahimahullah, وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ قَالُوا بِالْقِيَاسِ فاختلفوا. As far as the other group of scholars, and as we've explained this months ago, how to categorize your studies in your head. Graph it out, chart it out, pyramid it in your head. Now, two groups of scholars. The first group of scholars are those who said that there's no what? Qiyas. Specific situations. And then the next group of scholars said that there is qiyas. Something extra, something less. You remember it, you don't remember it, you're doubtful, etc. They make a formula. They make a what? A formula. They make photocopy off of one what? Original situation. Everybody understand this? So there's two branches that you have in your head. And then among the first party, how many branches are there? Or sub boxes or sub bubbles? There are what? Two. Dawood and Ahmed. And then among the second group, they differ as well on how to make this qiyas. How to base this off of that. The Prophet ﷺ stood up. He did not make the first tashahhud. The Prophet ﷺ made salam after 2 rak'ah, forgetfully. And then he walked to the front of the masjid and leant upon the wood. And then he did what? He spoke. That is all ziyada. That's extra. That's more stuff in the prayer. Now, so how do we base any situation of doing something what? Extra off of that situation. Everybody understand this? I did something extra in my prayer. I didn't what? I didn't make salam after 2 rak'ah. I didn't walk. I didn't lean upon a piece of wood. I didn't speak. So there is no that specific situation. But I did do something that was extra. So they say it makes qiyas. It is an analogy of anything else that the Prophet ﷺ did that was extra. Everybody understand this? The Prophet making salam before it was time to make salam was what? Ziyad. That's extra. Him walking, that's not a part of the prayer. That's what? Him speaking, it's not a part of the prayer. That's what? Ziyada. Everybody clear on this? So how do they make the analogy now? He says, فَقَالَ بَعْضُهُمْ. Some of them they say, هُوَ مُخَيَّرٌ فِي كُلِّ سَهْوٍ إن شاء سجد بعد السلام وإن شاء قبله في الزيادة والنقص. So the first party from among them, they say that a person is mukhayyar. You have total option. Do whatever you want to do. Do whatever what? You want to do. You want to make this the sajda before or after. For something that you did extra or something that you took away, omitted from the prayer. And obviously this is the simplest and the easiest opinion for the layman Muslim. Everybody clear on this or not? This is the what? As long as you do what? Make the 2 prostrations. Everybody clear on this or not? Obviously, not just the two prostrations, but you've also actually fixed it, as we explained yesterday. You fixed the mistake that you made. Now, you actually make the 4th rak'ah. You can't make sujood al-sahw by only making 3 rak'ah in dhuhr. No, you have to actually what? Finish it. Everybody clear on this? And there are other details as well that have to be explained in the proper time and place and manner, in which you forget to recite Surah Al-Fatiha. And you don't remember until you're in the next rak'ah. So the first rak'ah, you said Allahu Akbar. You made the dua. And then you said Qul Allahu Ahad, Allahu Samad, Lam Yalid, Wa Lam Yulad, Wa Lam Yakul Lahu Kufuwan Ahad. And then you said Allahu Akbar and made ruku'. Subhana Rabbil Azim, Subhana Rabbil Azim. Then you came out. Sami Allahu Liman Hamid, etc. You went into sajda, you made jilsa, you made sajda, you made jilsa to the istiraha, and you stood up to the second rak'ah. And then you said Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki. Wait, I didn't do this in the first rak'ah. It's something that you have to do then. We didn't get there yet. We didn't explain that yet. Everybody understand this? The general answer is that the second rak'ah now becomes the first. Everybody clear on this? And then you have to consider that a mistake. One of those 3 things. Was it extra? Was it less? Or was it doubt? And then wahakadha, you fix it. So in actuality, you're going to pray what? 5 rak'at. And then afterwards, when it's time to make the salam, you finish the tashahhud, they say you can do the salam what? Before or? Doesn't matter. Everybody turn this? But the point is not to think that you leave the salah without fixing the error that you made. So that's the first group. They said that you have total option to do whatever you want to do. وقال أبو حنيفة رضي الله عنه الأصل هو السجود بعد السلام وتأول بعض الأحاديث عليه. طيب. Abu Hanifa says the asl, the default, is that the sajda should be made when? After the salam. That's Abu Hanifa's madhab. is that it's always what? After the salam. Everybody clear on this? وقال الشافعي رحمه الله تعالى الأصل هو السجود قبل السلام ورد بقية الحديث إليه. Now Shafi'i, he says the exact opposite, that is always before. وقال مالك رحمه الله تعالى إن كان السهو زيادة سجد بعد السلام وإن كان نقصا فقبله. He says here, and Malik, he said, with detail, but a general detail that's based off of an analogy, qiyas, not a specific situation. Kalam, speech, whatever you did that was extra out of forgetfulness is always after the salam. And that which you omitted from the prayer, and obviously you fixed, is going to be when? Before the salam. Everybody understand how this works? So, as we said, before you master this and choose it, whatever way you want to do, study it in detail, etc., the simplest way is to make sure that you fix the mistake, and then do what? Make the sajda. Before or after. Everybody clear on this or not? Makes sense, Abdul Qawi? Much more clear like this. Moving forward, and it says, طيب, it goes on to mention some other things, other details that we don't want to get into right now with regards to the specifics, the specific details of the hadiths and how they interpreted them and took this one and did this one and so on and so forth. Now, listen carefully. He says here, another issue that we have here, قال وهو كلام حسن نفيس وأقوى المذاهب هنا مذهب مالك رحمه الله تعالى ثم مذهب الشافعي. He says, and the strongest of those madhabs here is that of Imam Malik. Is that of what? Imam Malik. If it's something extra, then do the sajda after this. And if it's something less, then do it when? Before. Moving forward, another scenario, hypothetical scenario. He says, وَلَوْ اجْتَمَعَ فِي صَلَاةٍ سَهْوَانِ سَهْوٌ بِزِيَادَةٍ وَسَهْوٌ بِنَقْصٍ سَجَدَ قَبْلَ السَّلَامِ. What if you do both in a salat? You made extra rak'ah and you also left something out. He says, قبل السلام. Moving forward, قال القاضي عياض رحمه الله تعالى وجماعة من أصحابنا ولا خلاف بين هؤلاء المختلفين وغيرهم من العلماء أنه لو سجد قبل السلام أو بعده للزيادة أو النقص أنه يجزئه ولا تفسد صلاته. وبهذا قال الشافعي ومالك وأبو حنيفة وأحمد رضوان الله عليهم وجمهور التابعين. وعن ابن أبي ليلى رحمه الله تعالى لكل سهو سجدتان وفيه حديث ضعيف. He then says, in summarizing, that these scholars here who differ, when, how, what's best, they all agree that it's all what? Mandatory. It's all permissible and valid. It doesn't matter when you do it, before or after, but as if they differ on when it is best.
But they all agree that the such as how is mandatory too.
No, that's a whole different issue. La. We're talking about just doing it, whether it's mandatory or recommended. That whether you do it before the salam or it's all valid. Alright, it's all what?
Valid.
It's all valid for us to patching up and fixing your salat, whether it's mandatory or not. واضح? طيب, moving forward. طيب. That's good enough for now. Whereas we're not studying this what? The sujood al-sahw as a separate class. And we should make things simple and easy. Give one view like a PowerPoint presentation for the beginner. We don't want to get too confused. Now, let's move forward to the other hadith of tonight, inshallah ta'ala. Everybody clear on that? What we explained? And that philosophy of not giving a general layout with a few details on the side. Khair inshallah. Chapter number 20, the author says, Bab sujood al-tilawa. Hadith ibn Umar radiyallahu anhuma qala, كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقرأ علينا السورة فيها سجدة فيسجد ونسجد حتى ما يجد أحدنا موضع جبهته. حديث عبد الله بن مسعود رضي الله عنه قال قرأ النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم النجم بمكة فسجد فيها وسجد من معه غير شيخ أخذ كف من حصن أو تراب فرفعه إلى جبهته وقال يكفيني هذا فرأيته بعد ذلك قتل كافرا. حديث زيد بن ثابت رضي الله عنه عن عطاء بن يسار أنه سأل زيد بن ثابت رضي الله عنه فزعم أنه قرأ على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم والنجم فلم يسجد فيها. حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن أبي رافع قال صليت مع أبي هريرة العتمة فقرأ إذا السماء انشقت فسجد فقلت ما هذه؟ قال سجدت فيها أو بها خلف أبي القاسم صلى الله عليه وسلم فلا أزال أسجد بها حتى ألقاه. Chapter 20 says prostration while reciting those verses of the Quran having prostration. Sujood or sujood at-tilawa. A place in the Quran such as Surah al-Sajdah on Friday for Jumu'ah, or any other place in the Quran al-Kareem in which is a sajdah and you make the sajdah. Surah Iqra, for example, Al-Alaq, مثلا. Naam. Those who can read the Quran and read from the Mus'haf al-Sharif directly in Arabic, you see the sign, the little icon in which there is a sajdah to be made. Or you're in a Quran class and your teacher says we make the sajdah. You recited a verse that's what? Of sujood. طيب? That's this chapter here. Hadith number 338 is narrated by Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma. It says whenever the Prophet recited a surah in which there was a prostration, he would prostrate. And we would do the same. And some of us would not find a place for prostration. Hadith 339 is narrated by Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. The Prophet recited Surah Al-Najm at Mecca and prostrated while reciting it. And those who were with him did the same except an old man who took a handful of small stones or earth and lifted up to his forehead and said, "This is sufficient for me." Later on I saw him killed as a disbeliever. Hadith 340 is narrated by Zayd bin Thabit radiallahu anhu. I recited An-Najm before the Prophet ﷺ, yet he did not perform a prostration. Hadith 341 is narrated by Abu Rafi'. Says here, radiallahu anhu, once I offered the Isha prayer with Abu Hurairah and he recited إِذَا السَّمَاءُ انشَقَّتْ and he prostrated. I said, what is that? He said, I prostrated behind Abu al-Qasim and I will go on doing it until I meet him. Type. So 338, 339, 34, and 341 all prove one main thing. And that is the mashru'iyatu sujood at-tilawa. Is that it is from the deen, it's legitimate to make the prostration for recitation. That is from the religion. Is it obligatory? Is it recommended? We've proven that it's what? From the deen. It's mashru', it's legislated. It's what? It's legislated. It's from the religion. Something good to do. So that's the main fiqh ruling we take from these narrations. Is that making the sujood for the tilawa is from the religion. If someone asks you, what is the proof that you have to make the sujood of tilawa? Say, it's well known. My sheikh did it. People in my country. This is right here. Clear on that? The next fiqh ruling that we take from these hadiths is that all of the places of the sujood from the Quran are not agreed upon by all of the ulama of Islam. They're not unanimously agreed upon. They're not what? Unanimously agreed upon. And or, it wasn't known to every single companion. It wasn't known to what? Every single companion. Everybody clear on this? Another fiqh ruling that we take from these hadiths of the Qawi, according to some of the scholars of Islam, is that a person does not have to have wudu when he makes this sujood. He doesn't have to have what? Wudu. Some of the ulama, they say this, whereas the mushrikun, they also made what? Sujood. Those are the main ahkam fiqhiyah. As far as some of the fawaid of these hadiths, then it shows the love of the Sahaba for the Prophet ﷺ and their love to implement his sunnah and act upon it. It also shows the power of the Quran, even upon non-Muslims. And it also shows certain things that Quraysh understood about Islam and Allah, even though they were polytheists and pagans. But they knew certain things and they understood certain things. And they knew who Allah was. And they worshipped Allah. They worshipped Allah, but they didn't only worship Allah. Their problem was shirk, along with other issues that they have in their creed and in their practice and the social ills and etc. The orphans and so on and so forth. Naam. The angels being the daughters of Allah, according to them. Naam. The mistreatment of orphans, mistreatment of slaves. And the list goes on. Naam. Another fact that we take from this is the fruit of pride. The fruit of pride. Where the man says, this is enough for me. I don't have to make sujood. And then later on it says, I saw him being, he was what? Slain as a disbeliever. Also, from the fawaid of these narrations, the Sahaba didn't always submit to everything that they heard, even if it was from a trustworthy person. And also, the default is that you should take something from a trustworthy person, with the condition that that person is trustworthy, and not just being deemed trustworthy because you say he's trustworthy because he's my friend. And he's not trustworthy, he's a liar, a blasted liar. And it's well known that he's a liar. Well known. Or a womanizer. A criminal. A thief. Whatever the case may be, it's what? Well known. They said, oh, he's trustworthy. And therefore you have to take what he says. Also with the condition that what this person is bringing to you does not go against that which is clearly affirmed and established. That which is clearly what? Affirmed and established. Brother comes to me and he says, Fulan is a person of bid'ah. He's an innovator. He's a deviant. And I say to him, the only thing that I've known about him for the last 20 years or 10 years or 30 years is nothing but sunnah. I've traveled with him. I studied with him. He taught me, I taught him, we did this. I don't know anything about him. I don't think he has a bid'ah bone in his body. He says, no, we saw it. We heard him. Indeed. يَجِبُ قَبُولُ خَبْرِ الثِّقَةِ. They say you have to take the information of a trustworthy person. The first condition is the person actually has to be what? Trustworthy. And then on top of that, the scholars of hadith, they make conditions for accepting a narration from a trustworthy narrator. And that is that his narration cannot go against that which is what? Well established. Well known. From a stronger and more authentic source. Everybody clear on this? Tayyib. Let alone the fact that a trustworthy person can also make an error. Make a mistake. One narrator says, Za'ama, he claimed. He what? And it's talking about another what? Sahabi. Is Sahabi not trustworthy to him, Khalid? Of course. Also, it goes to show from these narrations that the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they didn't necessarily, some of them they didn't find a problem calling the Prophet by his kunya, Abu al-Qasim, after his death. But not to call out to him, not to say, oh yeah, Abu al-Qasim. That's what the Jews of Arabia did. They refused to call him the Rasulullah. Or the pagans of Mecca at the treaty. They said, we only call him by what his mother called him. We will not call him Rasulullah. We'll call him Muhammad ibn Abdullah. Also, we benefit sticking to the sunnah that you know, or the sunnah that you believe is the sunnah, no matter who dislikes it. No matter what? No matter who dislikes it. He says, I'll continue to make this sujood until I meet the Prophet in thereafter. I don't care what you think or say. Because I know that I saw it and I heard it, etc. Now, those are the main fawaid we take from those narrations. Moving forward. النووي رحمه الله تعالى, he says, وقد أجمع العلماء عليه. He says the scholars of Islam unanimously agree that this is from the deen. Nobody rejecting it, saying that you shouldn't make it, or it's not from the sunnah. وهو عندنا وعند الجمهور سنة ليس بواجب. He says, and according to us, the Shafi'is, and most of the ulama, most of the fuqaha, he says that the prostration is made for recitation is recommended. Most of the ulama hold the view that it's only what? Recommended, and not what? Mandatory. وعند أبي حنيفة رضي الله عنه واجب. ليس بفرض على اصطلاحه وفي الفرق بين الواجب والفرض وهو السنة للقارئ والمستمع له ويستحب أيضا للسامع الذي لا يسمع لكن لا يتأكد في حقه يتأكد في حق المستمع المصغي. Abu Hanifa holds the view that it's mandatory, and the different terminologies that are used by Abu Hanifa and by the Hanafi scholars regarding fard and regarding wajib. Moving forward, he says here, so they say that it's a recommended act for the one who's reciting and the one who's listening. So if you heard the Quran being recited and you heard a recitation of tilawah, according to that view, you don't have to make the sujood. Nor is it recommended for you to necessarily, or let's say, not recommended, not for those who said it's mandatory, you don't have to make it unless you're one or two what? People, according to Abu Hanifa. The reciter or the one who is listening, and not the one who just hears. Hearing and listening is what? Two different things. We understand this or not? Two different things. He then says, وَيُسْتَحَبُّ أَيْضًا لِلسَّامِعِ الَّذِي لَا يَسْمَعُ. He says, and the one who's deaf, who's in the vicinity, he should also do it as well. Even though he can't actually hear, not listen. We have as-sama' and we have al-istima'. No difference in English. I hear you. Doesn't mean I'm what? Listening to you. You come to me about an idea to do something, and I shake my head and say, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. Nah, I hear you. I don't what? Agree with you. Let alone put it into physical deeds. That is based off of what? Listening. You said to your child. You say, are you listening to me? They can clearly what? Hear you. But it doesn't mean that they're what? Listening. You get it or not? Tayyib. Explain to him, Abdul Qawi, the Shaykhan. The difference between hearing and listening.
So hearing is just the ability, just the fact that something comes to your ear, and you're kind of like, all right, you heard what that person was saying. But you're actually listening, you're actually paying attention to those words and comprehending and reflecting on what that person is saying. So it's penetrating. It's penetrating you actually.
Let's say you're having an argument. Somebody's having an argument with their wife. I hear them arguing up the steps, but I'm minding my business, drinking my tea, eating my biscuits and cake or whatever. That's not the same. Okay.
She gonna take it to both of you.
Sheikh, astaghfirullah. She ain't gonna take one to me. The Sheikh cheated on his wife, and tried to buy a ring and a Hallmark card. That's actually what? Listening now. Not the same as you just what? Hearing it. Ear hustling, as they say. Tayyib. Regardless, whether you're walking on the street, music, you call the airlines or whatever, and they have some Mozart playing. Tayyib symphony or whatever the case may be, Beethoven. You just online waiting for the inshallah. Khalid's like Allah A'lam. It's playing, you hear it, you waiting for the operator or whoever to pick up. It's not the same as you actually enjoying the symphony. Tayyib, you got it now, Sheikh? You sure? Crystal clear? Tayyib, alhamdulillah. Moving, faddal.
So if someone doesn't hear it, how does he know to make this
It could be a deaf person sitting in the masjid and seeing everybody else do it. Like a Quran class. He made it sit in class for the barakah, for the dhikr. Or in the salah, whatever. Huh? طيب خير إن شاء الله. Everybody got this? طيب, he then says here, قال العلماء إذا سجد المستمع لقراءة غيره وهما في غير صلاة لم ترتبط به بل له أن يرفع قبله وله أن يطول السجود بعده وله أن يسجد إن لم يسجد القارئ سواء كان القارئ متطهرا أو محدثا أو امرأة أو صبيا أو غيرهم ولأصحابنا وجه ضعيف أنه لا يسجد لقراءة الصبي والمحدث والكافر والصحيح الأول. Now we have some more branches now, some more finely tuned details. First and foremost, he says, the ulama, they say that when someone listens to the recitation of someone else, and neither of the two are in salah, he isn't connected to him. He can lift his head before him. He can stay in sujood longer than him. If we're making salah, Khalid recites surahs of sajda. I can't get up until what? I can't stay in sujood longer than what? But if I'm outside of the salah, the reciter and the one who's listening, then I'm only making sujood because I was listening. And I'm not what? Following him. Remember clear on this? Here it says, regardless whether the reciter is pure or impure, a woman, a child, anybody else, etc. As far as the man who said that this is sufficient for me, and he didn't put his head on the ground, and he put dirt on his face, and is Umayyah ibn Khalaf, who was killed on the battle of Badr, from the heads of Quraysh. Moving forward. An-Nawawi rahimahullah, he speaks on the places in which the ulama of Islam agree and disagree regarding places of sujood. Khalid? He says here, وَقَدْ اخْتَلَفَ الْعُلَمَاءُ فِي عَدَدِ سَجَدَاتِ التِّلَاوَةِ. How many places are there to make the sujood in the Quran? How many places? فمذهب الشافعي رضي الله عنه وطائفة أنهن 14 سجدة. Shafi'i and others, they say that there are 14 of them. 14 places in the Quran al-Kareem to make what? Sujood or sajda. سجدتان في الحج, 2 of them in Surah Hajj. وثلاث في المفصل وليست سجدة صاد منهن. He says in there 3 sajdas in the what? Mufassal. What is the mufassal? From one thing, then what? If weaken one thing, you be weakened up other things. We explain what the mufassal. Or even if we didn't explain what else, we gave you the general idea. How the mushaf is what? Split up, categorized. Tayyib. He says 3 places in the mufassal, and the one in Surah As-Sa'd is not from them. وَإِنَّمَا هِيَ سَجْدَةُ شُكْرٍ. He says it's only a prostration of thankfulness. Speaking about who in Surah As-Sa'd? Dawood alayhi salam. And what happened? What happened with David? The horses. The story of Dawood in Surah As-Sa'd. Al-Muhim, he made what? Sujood. Allah says he made what? He fell down into sujood, and he made repentance. No, he says that that's not a sajda of tilawah, but that's a sajda of what? Of shukr. Moving forward. وقال مالك رحمه الله تعالى وطائفة هي 11 أسقط سجدات المفصل. Malik and others say they're only 11. They're only 11. And they take out the 3 that are in the mufassal surahs. وقال أبو حنيفة رضي الله عنه هن 14 أثبت سجدات المفصل وسجدة صاد وأسقط السجدة الثانية من الحج. Abu Hanifa says they're 14 as well. Same number but a bit different. He affirmed the 3 in the Mufassal surahs and also the sajda of Sa'd, and he took out the 2nd sajda from Surah Hajj. وقال أحمد وابن جريج من أصحابنا وطائفة هن 15 أثبتوا الجميع ومواضع السجدات معروفة. He says here, and Imam Ahmad, Ibn Surayj, Wabnu Surayjin, and others, they say that there are 15. They're what? 15. There are 15 of them. And they have affirmed to what? All of them. They affirmed what? All of them. How many? The maximum is 15, the minimum is what? 11. Those who say 11, they take out 3. So Imam Ahmad, he takes out what? Or he puts in what? The 3 in the Mufassal, which makes it 14. And he also adds, which is what? The 2nd from Hajj or one from Surah As-Sa'd. Al-Muhim is that they consider what? 15 of them. In other words, you got 15 pieces here, Khalid. You take this out, you only have 14. He comes, he keeps this here, but he removes this, and he what? Adds something else. So it's still 14. Or somebody comes out and just takes what? It says 11, methanan. You got it or not? So you have 15 articles on his desk, for example, right? Doesn't matter which ones are which, as long as it's, 15 is the maximum. I've taken everything on the table, 15 pieces. And then others, they say they're only what? 11. 11. So we remove 1. This also is 2. 3. And what? 4. 11 pieces on the table. And then others, they say that how many pieces? There's already 11, 12, 13, 14. But instead of these, they mix and match and put something else there. Second from Hajj, Sa'd, Mufassal, etc. Clear, Khalid? He says here, and the places of these sajdat, they're well known. They're well known. Well known. واختلفوا في سجدة حميم فقال مالك وطائفة من السلف وبعض أصحابنا هي عقب قوله تعالى إن كنتم إياه تعبدون وقال أبو حنيفة والشافعي رحمه الله تعالى والجمهور عقب وهم لا يسمون. Right. He goes to show that there are places in which the scholars of Islam, they what? They differ. Right. They unanimously agree on how many places? 11. That's the minimum. That's the what? The minimum. And the maximum is the what? 15. طيب? Such as, off the tops of your heads, a place in which you make sujood in the Quran. Najm, we mentioned that. And shiqaq, hajj, kaf, Khalid. He's mentioned Sa'd. Huh? What's the ayah? Any more that you can prove? Everybody get the point. Moving forward. I know he says, وَعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ يُشْتَرَطُ لِجَوَازِ سُجُودِ التِّلَاوَةِ وَصِحَّتِهِ شُرُوطُ صَلَاةِ النَّفْلِ من الطهارة عن الحدث والنجس وستر العورة واستقبال القبلة ولا يجوز السجود حتى يتم قراءة السجدة ويجوز عندنا سجود التلاوة في الأوقات التي نهي عن الصلاة فيها لأنها ذات سبب ولا يكره عندنا ذوات الأسباب وفي المسألة خلاف مشهور بين العلماء وفي سجود التلاوة مسائل وتفريعات مشهورة في كتب الفقه وبالله التوفيق. He says, no, for sure, in order for you to make sujood tilawa and make it in a valid way, you need the conditions for the recommended prayers. Not the mandatory prayers, but the what? Recommended prayers, such as tahara, body being clean, covering the aura, facing the qibla. And a person cannot make the sujood until the ayah is what? Finished, completely. He says it's also permissible for you to pray these prostrations and in times in which it's prohibited to pray. And in times in which is what? Prohibited to pray. What are those times when it's prohibited to pray? Right before Maghrib? After Asr? Before the sunrise? After the sunrise? At the time of sunrise? وهكذا. He says that's because these prayers are called Dhawat Asbab. The scholars of Islam, they say, and we're going to start with this tonight. It's two concepts that we have. The first concept is the hadiths that teach us that we should not pray at certain times. That we shouldn't what? Pray at certain times. Clear? And then we have other hadiths that teach us to pray, make prayer, and they don't restrict it to a what? Time, such as making before you sit in the masjid, before you sit in the masjid, mathalan. Or any other prayer, tawbah, making 2 rak'ahs for repentance. So which one do we take? Do we say that the hadiths about not praying in these times are the more general? Or do we say the ones that are more specific or general? Or do we say the other prayers that give us the command to make the rak'at, to do this without a time? Am I clear on this? So for example, a person, he wants to make, let's say, mathalan, this is a hypothetical example, even though there's a proof for it, but let's say hypothetical. After Salat al-Fajr, somebody wants to pray. The sun hasn't risen yet, but his Fajr has been established. A person says it's makruh. Don't come into the masjid and make 2 rak'at, just sit down. Because of the dalil that states don't pray after Salat al-Fajr until the sun has risen. Mathalan. And then the other person says, no, the Prophet's words take superiority here. The other words, it says, don't sit down until you. Ever clear this? So some ulama, they say that any prayer that's not mandatory should not be done during these times of prohibition. Awqatun nahi. It's called what? Awqat an-nahi, the times of prohibition. And others, they say rather you can make any prayer during those times as long as it's a prayer that has a specific reason. Such as the masjid, and not just normal nafil. I just want to pray 6 rakat, just to pray. Say no. You got to wait until it's not the time of prohibition. Fahimta Khalid? Remember on this? So Shafi'i's view is that you can make these prayers during any time, even if it's before sunrise, after sunrise, before dhuhr, if it's a what? Reason for the prayer. And that's a different issue of fiqh in itself. He says that and sub-issues that have to be explained in detail in the books of fiqh. Look at all these different details we've taken in this. And this is just a book of sharh of hadith. This isn't even a book of what? Traditional fiqh, which is actually studying fiqh in a traditional way. This is fiqh sunnah. So just imagine how many other issues, ijma, khilaf, proofs and evidences are mentioned in what? Those other books. Everybody clear on this? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should know best. Jazakumullah khairan for your participation. Allah Azza wa Jal bless you all.